and it's just 11 o'clock. And good morning. What a lovely one it is too. This is Chris Emmel standing in for Simon, and I'd like to welcome you all to another Redbourn Community Newsbite, now on Zoom and phones too. I'd like to welcome everyone joining today's Zoom Live, and also all those who watch and listen to it later on Facebook and on our website, Active in Redbourn. Now, there's a few things I have to say in advance, so forgive me if you've heard them before, but very quickly. People joining are automatically muted with the video turned off. If you want to remain anonymous, you can change your name in Zoom. You can use the chat function in Zoom to send questions or messages to me should you wish. And this is being live streamed to the Redbourners Facebook page. And later on, it will be on the AIR website. Now, if I've forgotten anything, I'm inviting Olive, our wonderful producer and IT director, to chip in now. Have I forgotten anything, Olive?
It just goes up to Active in Redbourn as well, their Facebook page as well. That's all. Good
news. We've got vaccination news and updates. And this week, we're being joined by Sarah. And Sarah and Liz, I hope you're both. So we've got both practices represented today. Liz, are you there?
I am, yes.
Good to hear. You had me worried for a second then. The heartbeats popped up a couple, but I'll survive. Liz, let us know, where are we? Because there are a few things been happening in the last week. Can you update?
Yes. Morning, everybody. This week, we've only received vaccines this week for a clinic on Thursday up at Batchwood. So that will be happening tomorrow. And that's for many people that are in the group 6, which is the sort of 16 to 65 with underlying health conditions and carers. In addition to that, on Tuesday this week, we've done some more housebound patients. And this afternoon, there is a special clinic for 16 to 18-year-olds who are clinically very vulnerable. So that's what's going on this week. We're very aware that there are lots of invitations that went out. I think we've got about 400 patients in this group 6 that received an invitation to book a vaccine appointment at Batchwood. But when they've tried to go on and do that, it says that there's no appointments available. So apologies for that confusion. It was a system error that everybody was uploaded rather than just a small proportion of them. Please be patient. As soon as we've got more appointments available, you will be alerted by text message that those appointments are available to book. So you don't need to keep trying to click the link and trying to book. You will be alerted to tell you that there's more appointments released. We'll also put it on our social media as well when there's more appointments. Unfortunately, we don't know when that's going to be. We seem to be in a bit of a fortnight lull of vaccine supply at the moment. But we've been told that in the next sort of week or so, we should get much more vaccine supply. Because we're also aware that we need to prioritise a group of people that have now been asked to shield. You may have seen this on the news, that there are an additional group of patients that, due to a COVID Q risk tool, which is some technological tool that they've got centrally with the government, that they've now, with more information, they've identified more patients that they think that actually they should be shielding. So those patients will have received a letter centrally from the NHS, and we will be prioritising those patients within group 6. So if they haven't been called already, they will be getting an invitation just as soon as we've got vaccine supply. There's about 111 of them in our particular surgery. Just wanted to say a note on carers, because carers are able to access the vaccine during this group as well. Many people are getting in touch with us to say that they are carers, but we don't have any record of that fact on their medical record. We don't know that they are a carer. So what we're asking them to do is to go to our website, and there is, if you search carer on there. There is a form to complete to register yourself as a carer with us so that we can then code you correctly and invite you for a vaccine. By registering as a carer with the surgery, it means that you'll be contacted by Carers in Hearts, and they give lots of support and give you lots of information about, you know, that should help you as being a carer. So do go onto the website and register with that form if you think that applies to you. It may take some time for us to get through group 6, so just to manage people's expectations, there's a lot of patients in this group, so it will take a little bit of time. And we are also coming close to giving injection 2 for the earlier cohorts that were done. So there will be some clinics on next week for cohort 2, for the second injection for the over 85s, etc., that received their vaccine very early on, sort of in December time. Don't worry if you're in that group and you don't have a compatible smartphone or any mobile phone. We will call you like we did the first time round. So don't worry if you can't access the links. We will call you. And just finally, we are being inundated at the moment with calls and emails from patients trying to plead their case. Please check the government guidelines if you are eligible for a vaccine. We're not able to deviate from the JCVI recommendations. Everybody has got a good story and a good case, but we are having to be as fair as possible. We are trying to stick to those JCVI guidelines. So please do check out the government website to see if you're eligible, because we have seen a massive increase this week and last week with people contacting us trying to plead their case to get their vaccine early. Okay, but that's everything from me, Chris.
Brilliant. Thank you very, very much. And good and comprehensive as usual. I did notice, Sarah, you nodding sagely when Liz was talking about the people pleading their case and saying, oh, but I'm an exception. I suspect you agree with that. But I'll leave it to you to brief on behalf of the Elms what you'd like your patients to hear.
Yes, absolutely. It's kind of like follow that, isn't it? Thanks, Liz. I could actually have written pretty much exactly what Liz has just said and would reiterate on most of those areas. The only thing we don't have is a carers page with a carers form to fill in. Might be possibly a good idea. Oh, we do. My colleague has just said we do. There you go. There's a practice manager doesn't have a clue what's going on. I only write it. It's but anyway, we are in a similar sort of stage because we, as the 3 practices in Harpenden, you've got the Elms, Davenport House, and the Village Surgery, all come under a primary care network. And we actually were in a slightly later wave when we started. We were ready, but we weren't given the vaccines till quite a lot later. So we were on to a bit of a slower start, or it came across as a slower start when in fact we just didn't have the vaccines. So we are already at the stage where we've got a clinic. The next clinic is this weekend on the 27th. Which the majority is group 6. However, we will be looking very soon going on to group 5. And as I say, it's a huge amount of people. So therefore it will take, it'll be slower getting through everybody than we have done. We are, St Albans and Harpenden are one of the top 10 in the country with their highest levels of achieving the top 4 groups. So we sit at around about 95% that we've done of all our over 70s, which is quite an amazing achievement and we're quite proud of. As I say, we are just exactly the same as Batchwood and the surgeries in St Albans. We are totally reliant on our vaccine deliveries and what we get. We don't even know exactly what we're going to get, and we don't know when it's going to be. So it's all hands to the pump when we suddenly say, yes, here, you're going to get vaccines in 3 days time, and then we have to pull all the stops out. What's more frustrating is when we're told a delivery date, which has happened this last week, we put the clinics on, and then we're suddenly told those aren't going to be the delivery dates and they're going to be later. And as you may well know, there is a time factor involved with all of the vaccine, and Pfizer being the worst, being 72 hours once it's been delivered to be used. But AstraZeneca still, we do not like to be left in the fridge, and once we've received it, we like to actually give it out. So at very short notice, we've got all these clinics on, and suddenly they say, no, you're not going to get any vaccine for those clinics. Then we have to delay them for a few days, which you can imagine is not an easy thing to suddenly have to do. But being primary care, we rise to the challenge every time and we manage it. So if you do suddenly, and I think Liz touched on this, if you do get say a text and you're asked to actually make your appointment and then you can't, it might well be that there was a clinic there and suddenly at short notice it has been changed, and then you just have to wait for the next lot. But you will be able to get onto those clinics. So thankfully we haven't had anything more than, we had 29 people booked in for the last few that we had on and had to cancel, so it wasn't too bad. Always be aware that if you don't have a smartphone or you just simply do not end up making an appointment, we chase and chase again. The final is usually a letter. I say final, we still keep on trying to get people, but we send a letter, because at the end of the day, if we've rung at least 3 or 4 times, we've texted, we've emailed, we get to that point when we can't keep, because we're having to keep on going on to the next group and invite, we can't keep going back. But please be assured that if you think, especially in the top 4 categories, if you have not had a vaccination, please contact your surgery, because we will make sure that you are booked in. Don't sit there thinking, oh, I'll wait a bit longer, I'll wait a bit longer. We've seen it in the news where we had the 93-year-old in Worcestershire, I think. I haven't had an invite yet. And it's like, well, this is a grandmother without an invite. I mean, you do wonder where the children and grandchildren were in this, but it still remains the same, that it may have been that surgery has been contacting, but have not heard back. But we will keep trying. We will keep trying. The other thing is that I think was touched on by Liz, there are, as I say, these letters going out at the moment whereby from the government, and there's the new clinically not exceptional, extremely vulnerable, so they're called SEV, which is unfortunate, but it's clinically extremely vulnerable, has been parachuted in over the top, which has been using this government tool. Unfortunately, it doesn't link directly with any of the reports that we have, but we do have our own reports able to find our clinically extremely vulnerable, and we have been inviting those that we know to come in. However, those that, because as you may have heard in the news as well, that unfortunately this tool has picked up people that have been 6 centimeters high with a BMI of 23,000. And we've also, which you just think, oh, great. And then you've got things like it picks up gestational diabetes, which again it does not come under the clinically extremely vulnerable. So there are little bits and pieces that have come from this that are not actually due to have a vaccine. However, they've had the letter, they can ring 119 and book in one of the mass vaccine sites. I don't know whether you're aware of where all those sites are now. There's several: Watford, Welwyn Garden City, Stevenage, and 2, I think, in St Albans. Is that right, Liz? There's IMED and the Arena now.
The Arena opens on the 15th of March, right. But there is IMED Pharmacy by the station is currently operational, but the Alban Arena starts on the 15th of March, so I believe.
Thank you. The thing is, everybody has to remember as well that wherever they go for the first one, they will be going back to that one. So if people do book and think, oh, I just want to get in anywhere and go to Stevenage, whereas if they waited another week, they may have got in locally. It's just be prepared that you will go back for your second one in the same place. You won't jump ships and be invited to perhaps the local site. I think, I'm just trying to think what else I need to say. We're hoping, a bit like Liz was saying, that we will be getting some more clinics. So although we've got one on the 27th, we are hoping there's going to be at least another 2 the following week, and we hope for more. Again, it's just wait and see, but we are getting a phenomenal amount of people ringing and emailing us at the moment saying, and again, it's all the I please can I have it, I've got this is my story, but we have to keep and be stringent with the groups that have been set by the government, and we really get into trouble for doing otherwise. And when you hear stories in London, the 35-year-old's being done, there will be another reason for that, and it might be that they happened to get called in because they had 2 vaccine left at the end of the day and they live around the corner. It might be because they have got the social worker. There'll be something else that will mean that they've got it. It won't be that they're just doing all the 35-year-olds in London. So just be aware of that. Just because my neighbours had one does not, there may be a very valid reason why that person had it. The clinics, if anybody's been to the public halls to come for a vaccine, it's an amazing thing to be part of. We're all very proud of what has been achieved, and I know the same could be reiterated over at Batchwood. I think for an area, I think it's quite something. We started with nothing. We had to pull something off at very short notice, and to see thousands of people. We've already done nearly 8,000 vaccines, and that's just at ours. They've done more at Batchwood as well. So it's something we love as well. It's been fantastic to be part of, and it's great. It's a bit like this. It's so lovely seeing so many patients and people that I certainly as a practice manager don't get to see, and it's just it's great to see you all.
No,
and happy to take questions.
It is good, actually, I have to say. I mean, it's quite a spectacular thing that's happened. I know you've had a bit of practice with flu jabs, all of you, but actually this sort of mobilisation is something special, and everything's been reported really well. What I think would be quite good, we've had a very full 15 minutes. We might put a little summary up on the website just of the key facts, which is don't ring us unless you're absolutely sure, and please don't plead your case. And if the 2 of you can join us next week, that'd be good. We like a little bit of competition around here, and hopefully everybody will be a little bit better briefed as a result of what we've heard today. Thank you both very, very much.
It's a pleasure. We'd love to be part of this again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you. Cheers then. Now, Peter.
Follow that, hey?
From the
follow that.
Care Group, over to you.
Thank you, Chris. So I would say follow that, but I actually have spent some of the last couple of weeks at the IMED Centre in St Albans being a vaccination volunteer, as well as at Batchwood, so I can completely endorse what they're saying. The phenomenal teamwork that's going on is amazing, and I have to say it was flipping cold standing outside Batchwood and the IMED Centre for many days over the last couple of weeks, but everybody was really joyful, a bit scared going in, but I haven't seen happy people for a whole year, and seeing them coming out was great. I know there's wrinkles, and I know that some people are more hesitant than others, but in general it's going brilliantly well around here. So Batchwood is great. I haven't been to the Elms, the Harpenden Halls, but I'm sure it's really growing well, and IMED's a very effective place to go to. So there's a lot of local support, and I haven't yet experienced Stevenage or Welwyn, so I'm going to branch out as volunteers are needed. And I will be volunteering through all the summer doing this, so there's no panic. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say about vaccinations, but I'm here to talk about Redbourn Care Group, and I'm a trustee of Redbourn Care Group, and the only thing I've got to update people on is that we are changing our name to Redbourn Commmunity Group this year. You might ask why, and I think that was one of the questions Chris asked me. Why on earth are we doing this? I think more than anything, COVID in the last year has told us that we need to be able, and we have been supporting the whole community of Redbourn. And in terms of preparing through this last year, we have expanded our services, we've expanded our volunteers. And from part of that came the feedback that we were seen as a care group, and we want to be seen as somebody that cares, but cares for the whole community. So we did agree to change our name, and that is easy. Well, it wasn't easy to agree, but it's quite a little bit harder to do. So externally, we have to contact the Charity Commission, and we have to contact the HMRC, and we have to change our bank accounts. And that is the paperwork behind the scenes that is going on now. And we are optimistic that that will be completed in the spring, but we cannot do anything until we've had formal approval. And you can imagine that these government bodies are not working at the same capacity that they were. So we are working our way through that. Behind the scenes, we have almost everything ready to go once we do get that approval. So we will be communicating and just keeping in touch with people about that as we go through the year. So fingers crossed, we're moving in the right direction. But the main thing is we're here to support the community of Redbourn. And so if anybody does need our help, please get in contact. That's all from me.
Excellent. Are you able to give us a preview of what you're going to be called?
Redbourn Community Group.
Redbourn, that's
So
it. Redbourn
sorry, did I not say that?
I was probably busy combing my hair or something. Maybe I missed it.
It's still got the same initials, so it's very convenient for all of
handy.
us. And I thank everybody for their support through last year for whatever they've done for the care group. And please continue to help us. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very, very much. Now on to Dennis Bigham from the Parish Council. Good morning, Dennis.
Good morning.
Now, I guess it's not the happiest of weeks, so I'll leave it with you.
Yes, no. Just to say a big thank you to Peter. That I did see her standing out in the freezing cold up at Batchwood as I went for my jab. And I couldn't see her with that big mask on, but I know her voice. And I did pass the compliment. They do a wonderful job. All those people helping out on there. And you think of that weather we had. And those people standing out, as soon as you get to Batchwood, they're putting you in the car park, they're showing you where to go, the sanitizers, the people inside. What a wonderful team they've got in there. And it's happening all over. So a big thank you to all the helpers in that. Right, on to the sad thing that's happened is should we say, a cornerstone person of the village that passed this week. The name, a lot of people may not know him. His name was Tony Swendell. Tony Swendell was a Redbourner, and if anybody needed help in the village, they turned to Tony or to Will down the church. But Tony started his life, he joined the Royal Navy way back, not in Napoleonic times, but in modern times. But Tony, after his period in the Navy, he left and he joined Herts Police. And he rose through the ranks, as Tony is, and what a good man he is. He rose to the dizzy height of Chief Superintendent, CID and Operations. When he retired, Tony, he took up various, should we say, volunteering work. And Tony was a volunteer president of the care group, Redbourn Care Group. Along with my brother-in-law, Peter Fox, they formulated this wonderful, wonderful charity that a lot of people didn't know about in Redbourn. And they thought Redbourn Care Group was an old people's home. But as we've progressed through the village and what have you, Tony was always there, the backbone. He was our president. And what can be said there? Tony leaves his good wife, Judy, and his children, Mandy and Andrew, and a grandchild with him. His brother and sister, Kevin and Josie, I went to school with over at St. Michael's in Garston. So I've known them for quite some time. And their dad was another character. So you can see the Swendell family in the village were a cornerstone of Redbourn. Their dad, Ted Swendell, he was the parish clerk for quite a number of years. And he actually played the organ at the Catholic Church where I got married way back, 54 years ago. So you can see it goes on. And that was in the old church, not this nice modern church you've got up there now. This was what I called it the little shed. And Tony Swendell's dad, what a family, and their mum, wonderful. And they lived down Snatchup. And there was a whole community down there, and their brothers and sisters and what have you will tell you that was one of the streets that have come up quite recently on Facebook as one of the best streets to live in. I could on there, you've got Tassel Hall, you've got Library Lane, you've got Church End. With all us young children, we never had Xboxes or other bits and pieces to go with. So we played out in the street till we were called in at dark or after the Archers. So, yeah. And Kevin and Josie were part of that sort of era. Tony was a little older. He passed away at 80 years old. But he was still very well known in the police community. And he used to meet up at the Six Bells in St Albans with a lot of his characters and friends and past members of the police and what have you. And he's very, very well thought of. And he will be missed, most certainly, in the village. Because a like of these sort of people only come past once in a lifetime. But I'll end up on there. He will be missed. He will be saddened. And I'd pass on to his family all our condolences. And may he rest in peace. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's quite humbling. Will, I'd like you to give us your thought for the week, if you don't mind.
Before I do, I'd just like to say, Dennis, thank you for those lovely words. I would fully endorse that. Tony was the most wonderful gentleman, servant-hearted, and a real champion for our community. And I also will miss him immensely, a true gentleman. I'd like to begin with a brief update on my Lent disciplines and report. My report, if it was a school report, would read, okay, but could do better. I've managed giving up the alcohol, no problem, so that's a tick. But the running is a bit more of a struggle. But I'll keep going, and I've now got an added incentive with a very lovely T-shirt from Active in Redbourn and Run Redbourn that appeared on my doorstep yesterday. There we go. And it's even got my new moniker on the back, Phil Tibbs. So there you go. So no excuses. There we go. It's hard to believe, but when I was back in the day, I was part of a school cross-country team that was the Southwest of England champions. And I used to run 20 miles a week. But I am realizing that that was actually quite a long time ago. And Rome isn't built in a day. And this is a long project, so I'll have to keep going. But the other bit of news, and this fits in completely, it's almost as if we kind of compared notes with the other contributors today. And the other bit of news for me is that I had the jab on Monday morning. And before anyone says, I'm not as old as I look. I'm actually under 50, just. But apparently a vicar comes under the social care worker category. So I was delighted to have the opportunity. And like many others I've spoken to in Redbourn, it was fantastically well organised and very slick. Because it was a key worker jab and booked in a different way, I went to Hemel Hempstead Hospital rather than Batchwood or Harpenden Public Halls, where most of our community have attended, but it was equally impressive. The signposts were clear and frequent. There were lots and lots of volunteers, all in high-vis jackets and name badges, directing you at every step of the way. As I turned into the site, we came across somebody to greet me and direct me on, then somebody at every junction or turn. I then had a short questionnaire to check that I didn't have any symptoms or that I hadn't been part of the vaccine trials previously, and then flagged through to the car park. And then yet more volunteers that guided me from the car to the pedestrian route into the building, and then through several corridors to the waiting area. There was a 5-minute wait at most, and then into a room where I received the Oxford jab from a nurse who told me that she shared the same birthday as me. Not the same year, I hazard to guess. But then a 15-minute wait to check that there were no side effects, and then the short walk back to the car and home. All in all, including the drive to Emmel and back, the vaccine and the 15-minute recovery, I was home in just under the hour. Not bad, eh? While we were in the recovery area, there were 2 volunteers with iPads taking an exit survey. How would you rate your experience today? 10. Would you recommend this vaccination centre to a friend? Definitely. These were the answers I heard over and over again in that recovery room. But the things that struck me was that in the course of my visit, I totted it up and I saw 14 volunteers involved in the process. So other than the joy of having had the vaccine and a sore arm, my lasting impression was the sheer number of volunteers and the generosity of their time to help make things happen and to happen so smoothly. We're no strangers to the idea of volunteers in Redbourn. We're blessed with so many in the care group, the neighbourhood watch, the coronavirus volunteers, the U3A, the council, active in Redbourn, the sports groups and teams, the uniformed groups, the school PTAs and governing bodies, Redbourn in bloom, and in naming these, I'll of course have missed so many others. Call it big society or the third sector, if you will, but I call it being good neighbours, being generous with your time and your gifts for the benefit of others, as we also receive that time and those gifts of others ourselves. It lies at the heart of what makes any community a great place to live, and I'm so thankful for it.
Excellent. That's very, very, very thoughtful. So, well, you've been doing the running and you'll be going through. I want to cheer you up. I know that 8 days have now gone, and with the 80-20 rule, you probably, that 20% was the worst 80% you've gone through. So it's going to get easier from now on.
Well, let's hope so, Chris. It can only get better.
Now, on behalf of Simon, who tells me you know everything about everything, there was a big 200th anniversary yesterday. Would you like to know which particular poet it might have been?
Well, knowing it's come from Simon, it was Keats. It was the 200th anniversary of his death yesterday, and an important milestone. And I'm sure he'll have spent the whole day suitably marking that.
I can confirm he spent the whole day doing as you said. So, Will, we're running over. So yeah. I want a 15-second, and I'm timing you, summary of what you think will happen on the rugby on Saturday.
Oh, goodness knows. Actually, it's been a bit of a topsy-turvy. All the teams have had a weekend off, so we come back to it. I've got it wrong so far, so I'm not even going to try. I'm just going to watch all the games and enjoy them. I'm really enjoying the championship. I'm particularly enjoying Scotland's resurgence at the moment. I think they're doing incredibly well. And I think England, having had a blip, will be strong for the rest of the tournament. So those would be my two sort of comments.
I'll hold you to that. We'll see if you do know everything following the weekend. Anyway, we need to move on because we're running over. It's all my fault, as usual.
Thanks, Chris.
And now I'd like to introduce Navid. And Navid has brought back a little bit of life to our high street with the successful return of our fish and chip shop. Navid, are you there?
I am. Good morning to you all.
Good morning to you.
I'm trying to turn on my video. It's telling me the host is not allowing me to do so.
Oh, I'll slap Olive's wrist. We'll see you in your full glory in a couple of seconds.
Okay, nice. Thank you very much for having me this morning. Good morning to you all. Just like to introduce myself first of all. I'm Navid Tabrizi. I'm one of the owners of the Old Cottage Fish and Chips on the Redbourn High Street. We would like to just first of all thank the community for the great response we've had since we've opened back in August of 2020. Some of you may be aware of some of the complications we had when we first rebranded that particular site in 2017 when we first opened the fish and chip shop, and we had some complications with the previous owners and we had to close for some time. Won't go into too much detail, but essentially it was some legal battles that we had to go through, and we are now, I can assure everyone, we are here to stay. And again, it's been a great response from everyone in the community, and we love to serve Redbourn the freshest cooked to order fish and chips that we can. Let me try and turn this video on. I think it should be working now. There we are.
Oh yes, there you are.
I've got
the backdrop too. Clever stuff.
I've got my shot behind me. So, okay, you can all see me now. Just a few updates from my side. I wanted to just kind of give you, how long do I have, by the way?
Just a couple of minutes.
Okay.
Tell us about the beauty of fish and chips.
So just a quick few points about our shop. We bring in everything. We very carefully source all of our products from our cod being Norwegian line caught fish. As you can imagine, our chips cooked to order and peeled and prepared every morning, including all of the other aspects of our menu. Just a couple of updates from us in terms of some developments we've had within our store. So we are now offering a vegan and gluten-free option on our menu. The gluten-free option is on a Monday. The vegan options are throughout the whole week. And just to kind of reassure those individuals that are vegans out there, everything that we cook on the vegan menu is cooked separately from the fish in a separate oil, and even our filtration of our oil is done separately. So because that's a very common question that comes up. We have now, it's been about 3 or 4 weeks that we have now launched a delivery service on the back of a high demand from the locals. And that's now running from Monday to Thursday. Friday and Saturdays are super, super busy for us, and we don't necessarily have the capacity right now to accommodate that. But we are doing deliveries in the evenings, and that's 4:30 to 9:30 Monday to Thursday. Currently, the way to place an order is either to come in store and place an order. We cook everything to order. We'll take a phone number or a buzzer, and then you can wait in the car or outside so that we adhere to social distancing guidelines. And then we will call you back once the food is ready. Or you can place an order on our website. And if you simply go onto Google and type in Redbourn Fish and Chips, first result is us. And it's very simple to do so. And the delivery, placing a delivery order is also through our website. We have had a lot of demand from customers to say, can we place telephone orders for deliveries? Because some people don't have access to a smart device or a laptop. We are working on that. And I know it sounds like it's a much simpler way of doing things, because I personally come from a technology background, and I've been in the fish and chip industry for over 12 years now. I try and incorporate a lot of technology in the processes that we do things to streamline processes, make sure that we're delivering the best service to you folks. And telephone orders sometimes can slow things down when it's a very busy period for us in the evenings. We are working on that, and we will be announcing some more updates on that too.
Now, I've picked up, by the way, fish and chips last Saturday night were wonderful. I've picked up that if we get around after about 8 o'clock, you're a little bit quieter, aren't you? What's a good quiet time for people who are like me, impatient and want their fish and chips as soon as they feel hungry?
Yeah, I think you're spot on there. For us, our busiest period is probably at 4:30 to 7:30. Anything after 7:30, 8 o'clock is much more of a quieter period. To ensure that you don't wait, if you do want to come within those peak times, bar Friday, I would say placing your order on the website will allow us to make sure that we anticipate your order, and we can work a lot closer to the time slot that you've booked in order to have your food ready, reducing the time you wait. And it's something that we are constantly working on. As I say, one of my main priorities is to make sure that we streamline our processes, but never drop on quality. Right. I really never want to move away from cooking to order. But I think after 8 o'clock, or placing the order on the website is probably going to resolve that problem as much as we can.
Well, it's a good problem to have, isn't it? Being too busy. And thank you for keeping the high street vibrant. That's excellent. Okay, now Olive is going to talk to us now about, Olive, could you let everybody know what's new this week?
Yeah, I'm just sharing the screen so that people who are watching, got a little few words so that they can see those. I hope that works. What's new this week? Well, I've been collecting information from various people, and I would like to have more information about new things that are coming back, especially with the emergence from lockdown. Anyway, this week on Monday, we're starting tea and chat in the Zoom room every Monday at 11 o'clock during March, starting on March the 1st. You need to pre-register for security, and you can do that at activeinredbourn.co.uk and just click on the tea and chat, or use the QR code, which is on the screen there, you will see. And if you put that on your phone and go to pictures, you'll be able to go directly to the link. It's just a friendly chat over Zoom with local residents. There's no agenda. It's just a means of keeping connected with the community. The second thing is I published a valuable post yesterday, which I think is really worth reading, from a guy called Patrick McGowan, about breathing with a mask, because I know a lot of people really struggle with breathing when they've got a mask on, and it's worth listening to. The third thing is dog training. We're now into week 3 of dog training, 11 o'clock on a Thursday on Facebook. And this week it's keeping to heel. Well, I think we could all do with a bit of that anyway. And don't forget the photography competition launched by the Parish Council, and you can apply for that through the Parish Centre. And don't forget, do let me know of new things that are happening, especially as we emerge from lockdown.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. But, we've been asked on a number of occasions for recommendations for books to read, TV programs to watch, etc., etc. So we've now got what we've actually found out from Facebook is one of our more popular recommendations. So if you could just tell us about the first Redbourn Recommends, Olive, if you could press the buttons, I'd appreciate it.
Yep. This is one from Simon Barnes from the Loft.
Cycling Simon.
Hi. My name is Simon. I've lived in Redbourn for 14 years, and together with Lindy, I own and run the Hub and the Bike Loft in the High Street. And I've been asked to recommend a film or a book, but it's going to be a film. And it's a little film we discovered on Amazon Prime last week called The Man in the Hat. And it's a bit of a quirky little thing with the main actor, Kieran Hines, who doesn't really say a lot. It's a bit like a silent film, like a chatty film. There's music and there's birds singing and there's traffic noise, and it's a delightful little relaxing film of about an hour and a half. So if you're expecting all action-packed film, then it isn't the one for you. But if you like a nice, relaxing, amusing film, it's very different. It's very nicely done, filmed in Provence in the summer. So there's lots of good visual vibes there, and I can thoroughly recommend it. It's on Amazon Prime. The Man with the Hat, and he gets into adventures, and yeah, it's a good little film. Thoroughly recommend it. Thank you.
Hi.
Hello, I'm Kelly O'Brien. I live in the village and I love reading. I'm a school library assistant and also a mum to two children. And my lockdown recommendation to you is a book called The Salt Path by Raina Wynne. And it's a true story about overcoming adversity. Raina and her husband Moth lose their family farm after a bad investment goes bankrupt, and at the same time as that, Moth is diagnosed with a terminal illness. So they're really, really down on their luck. They're actually homeless. So faced with this, they spend the last money they have going to Millets and buying a very small tent and some terrible waterproofs that don't really work. And they set off on the coastal path from Somerset to Dorset. It's a 630-mile journey, and it's incredible that they set out on this journey with so much going on, but they haven't got anything else, and they have got very low income. They're just living off Moss's disability allowance. So I think I love this book because I have a real affinity with the sea. My own grandparents lived on the cliff tops at Gorston, and we did spend all our family holidays there. So I love walking by the sea. So at this time when we're locked down, I think reading a book which is a journey and views across the ocean really appealed to me. But it's not a romanticised book. Raina and Moss are homeless. It's an incredibly difficult journey. So they're wild camping and living off pot noodles. And sometimes when they go into towns, they're actually mistaken for tramps because their appearance has become so dishevelled. So it's not a romantic view at a beautiful, beautiful journey and soul searching. It's gritty. It's about reality. It's about how difficult life can be. But it's also about the restorative power of nature. This walk, this endurance path, actually seems to help Moss's condition. He's better doing this exercise every day. And I think at the moment, going for that walk every day while we're in lockdown has been really important. And I think we all feel better when we're out in nature. So I hope you enjoyed the book. I think she's also written a follow-up called The Wild Silence. So if you're interested in her work, she's got another book out as well. So I hope you enjoy this read.
Excellent. Two very different recommendations there, but both sound very, very interesting. And now it's time to head over once again to the picturesque Hertfordshire village of St Mary's for the next instalment of our weekly serial, The Snatchups. When we left it last week, Stan and Grandad's illegal homebrew had given half the village the runs, and the co-op was experiencing an alarming demand for bleach and toilet roll.
I can't believe you, Stan Snatchup. I mean, what were you thinking of? I knew you and Grandad were up to something, but not even I thought that you would be stupid enough to set up an illegal brewery in the garden shed. How did you ever think you would get away with it?
Well, I don't think we entirely thought it through.
Well, you never do you? And then it's left to me to pick up the pieces and sort it all out. Somehow, where an entire global pandemic failed, you and Grandad managed to single-handedly overwhelm the entire local health service. Mrs. Busybody said that her husband didn't come out of the toilet for 2 days. She had to pass him his food through the window.
Yes, he said it was the best couple of days he's had in a while. He finally got a bit of peace and quiet.
It's lucky for you that the police weren't involved and that everyone agreed to forget all about it if they got their money back. And that money has had to come out of our holiday savings. And that's before we have to pay whatever fine Tim might get. But at least we'll find that out today because he's due in court this morning.
Look, I've said I'm sorry and it won't happen again.
That's what you said last time and the time before that.
Well, I mean it this time. I've learnt my lesson and I'll take my punishment. The villagers formed a committee and agreed they wouldn't go to the police if I did 20 hours of community service to make up for it. So today I have to take Mrs. Old Lady to have her jab at Club Thatchwood in the care group minibus.
Please don't tell me that you said you were qualified to drive it.
Well, of course I did. I'm trying to get back into their good books. I mean, how difficult can it be? It'll just be like driving a car, but a bit bigger.
Well, as long as you're sure.
It will all be fine because I will have you to help me.
Me?
Well, I can't do it on my own. And Mrs. Old Lady will feel much more relaxed with another woman around.
Well, okay. But I've got a bad feeling about this.
Morning, ma'am. How do I look?
Like a complete wally.
You look very smart, Tim. A suit and tie is exactly what you need to create the right impression.
Yes, if you want to do an impression of someone on their way to a funeral.
Look, do you want Tim to get off or not?
Oh, of course I do. You look very smart, Tim. If you could invent a secret handshake as well, the judge will probably let you off with a smack on the wrist.
Well, the problem is I'm running a bit late. Can you give me a lift?
I'm afraid not, Tim. Your dad and I have to take Mrs. Old Lady to Thatchwood.
Oh, that's okay. We can drop him off on the way.
What, in the care group minibus?
Why not? It's only a bit out of our way. No one will ever know.
Oh, thanks, Dad. That'll be great.
Well, my bad feeling about this has just got worse.
Right, let's go. Jane, we're all off out. Is that okay?
Yes, I'll be fine. I'm going to have a FaceTime call with Gary. Wish Tim good luck and tell him he looks like a complete wally.
Oh, I heard that.
Oh, and Mum, oh, wasn't it a shame that Phil Tibbs and Sweet didn't win that Britain's Got Talent?
Oh, it was. They fell at the last hurdle. Sweet did such a moving version of Jerusalem with Phil Tibbs accompanying him on the bongos. I was so sure they were going to win, but they were just edged out by that 20-stone builder from Sheffield with the beard doing the drag act. But he's a winner in our eyes, and he's really helped put St Mary's on the map.
You're right. He's going to be quite a celebrity when he gets back. Maybe Sweep can become the new poster dog for Clipping Marvellous.
Oh, you never know. Right, see you later.
Is that Grandad on the common in that high-vis jacket?
Yes, he's picking up litter. That's his part of the arrangement. He's got to do the common and the high street every day for a fortnight.
Well, it will serve you two right, and I hope you poured all the rest of the home brew away.
Oh, of course we have. We were hardly going to drink it. We should have named it Montezuma's Revenge.
There's Mrs. Old Lady waiting for us by the minibus. Now, you're sure you know what you're doing?
Of course. There's absolutely nothing to worry about. I mean, what could possibly go wrong?
Hello, Mum. I expected you back a bit earlier. Did everything go okay?
I have never been so embarrassed in all my life. We stopped outside the law courts to drop Tim off, and there were police and photographers everywhere. It seems he's become some sort of people's champion. Well, he immediately unfurled a small banner he'd been carrying, sat down in the middle of the pavement and started posing for pictures.
Well, that doesn't sound too bad.
Yeah, but that was before we got the parking ticket. And while Stan was arguing with the police officer about it, Mrs. Old Lady got out of the minibus and, thinking she was witnessing a grave miscarriage of justice, started attacking the police officer with her handbag.
Oh, dear.
Well, the upshot was that Tim was escorted into court handcuffed to two policemen. Stan was left with a parking ticket and a summons for not having the correct minibus licence. And Mrs. Old Lady was arrested for assault.
But the good thing is, no one is likely to find out.
Not likely to find out? There were photographers everywhere. It's going to be on the front page of the newspapers and probably on the national news.
Well, I don't think the care group are going to be very happy when they see their minibus splashed across the front page of the newspapers, showing Dad getting a fixed penalty notice, Tim being handcuffed, and Mrs. Old Lady assaulting a police officer.
Tell me about it.
Maybe I ought to lie low for a while. I could pretend to do 14 days of self-isolation while all the fuss dies down.
But what happened after that? What about Mrs. Old Lady's jab?
Well, the police eventually let Mrs. Old Lady off with a caution and let us take her to Club Thatchwood for a jab. But when we got there and were standing in the queue, Stan tried to slip the nurse a £5 to add his name to the vaccination list.
You tried to bribe her?
Well, these vaccines don't last long once they've been taken out of the freezer. They always have a few spare. There was bound to be someone who didn't turn up.
But what if they did? It was only 10:30 in the morning.
Oh, Dad, how could you? Those vaccines are meant for the most vulnerable, those people who will suffer the most if they catch COVID.
But I was thinking about the most vulnerable. If I'm going to be regularly driving them to Club Thatchwood, they need to know I'm safe.
Safe? Thanks to you, Mrs. Old Lady now has a criminal record. And if you think that the care group is going to let you anywhere near their minibus again, you must be joking.
Oh, well, still, at least Tim got off with just a small fine. He called 10 minutes ago. He's on his way back.
Hello? What? He's done what? Is that physically possible? OK, we'll come at once.
What's happened?
It was Luton and Dunstable Hospital. Grandad slipped over and accidentally sat on his litter grabber and it stuck fast.
Oh, how awful.
Well, they've whisked him in the back entrance and they're currently wheeling him up the corridor.
Ooh, that sounds painful. But if it's the correct medical treatment, then that's what they've got to do. I just hope they can get it out before it does permanent damage.
And on that bombshell, we must leave it for this week. Will the hospital get to the bottom of this, or are Grandad's litter-picking days confined to the dustbin? Will Stan ever be allowed to drive the care group minibus again? And will meek, mild Mrs. Old Lady become the oldest resident of St Mary's ever to receive an ASBO? All will be revealed in next week's exciting episode of the Snatchups.
Thank you very much. I have just got some horrible images in my head, and I'd just like to thank the Snatchups for that. That's just about it for another week. I hope you can join us next week, and in the meantime, just enjoy the great weather we're getting over the next few days. Mercifully, Simon returns next week, but if you want to get in contact about anything at all, I've got a number for you, which is 07770 863 864. 07770 863 864. Or email us on the Active in Redbourn site, and that's info@activeinredbourn.co.uk. So thank you very much to all the guests and the contributors, and goodbye for another week. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.